This AFAWA initiative has this singularity. It has created deliberately. It is the result of the will of the FDB and of all the actors that are involved in uh, women empowerment in Africa, notably among this group, the AGF, but all the African initiatives that are part and parcel of this movement. They collectively worked together to establish this initiative, and the results that we have seen are very satisfactory. This initiative has produced very positive results and has empowered thousands of women in the continent, allowed them to develop their business activities and to become actors, important actors in the economic activities of their country. I will not take too much of your time. I think that the debates that will ensue are more important, but I would like to emphasize 2 points. Firstly, the AFDB group under my aegis will afford AFAWA a very great importance. And so we will pursue with the funding that we have made during the preceding years. Secondly, I want to enhance this initiative with a support initiative that will complement in other fields, but which will enhance the AGF to allow every woman in Africa to access funding without having to show collateral guarantees. And we will be able to therefore de-risk their goods. The AGF has our full support and our backing, and the AFAWA initiative will have all the attention of our group. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much, and we will now continue with the address of someone that is among us today. Thank you, Mr. President, for having put forth this initiative, this fundamental initiative for the FDB and also for the continent. Thank you for enhancing it with the support to the AGF. Of course, the speaker that will take the floor has always emphasized women empowerment. This has been addressed in many fora, and measures have to be taken to support their empowerment, and also shows that a woman at the helm of economy and finance gives very good results. Please warmly welcome the Minister of Economy of the government of His Majesty Mohamed VI, Madame Nadia Fathi.
Mr. Chairperson of the African Development Bank, Mr. Sidi Hulda, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear participant, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to take part in this session with you this morning. I think the Chairperson has set the tone and will be cut to the chase. And as the moderator highlighted it, and this is a topic that is very important for all of us, and we should not miss any opportunity to remind all the stakeholders that whenever you promote women entrepreneurship, you are not trying to correct an injustice, but rather to promote the betterment of the future of our continent, because women have already carried out laudable initiatives, and we should be able to acknowledge that women have talent, they have a sense of innovation, and they also have that desire to achieve success. So allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to represent you and to speak on your behalf and tell all the stakeholders in this room that you want to achieve success, and everyone should be able to hear it. Our country, under the aegis of His Majesty, have carried out a lot of initiatives in favor of the women in Morocco, and we have renewed our trust to women. And I am grateful to the Majesty, to His Majesty, because he has entrusted me some decision-making roles, and most of the time, we have been considered as people who are just filling the gap, and have been considered as a woman, a Muslim woman, and with a woman will be able to meet all the criteria. We are not there just to uh, uh, meet some specific criteria, or I think some of my colleagues will highlight some of the initiatives, some of the programs in favor of uh, women entrepreneurship funding, because in Morocco we have almost 90% of activity for women, and when we take a look into the statistic, you can notice that women-led companies do not benefit from most of the funding. Most of the financial institution assess that assess the risk in women-led companies. Sometimes they don't even take into consideration those risks. And I would like to convey a message to the President of African Development Bank, and I would like to thank you for these wonderful initiatives that the bank has spearheaded, and thank you for putting women at the center of all your initiatives. And with the financial market, and when you provide those women with funds, you need to buttress and make it important to have women, and hopefully we'll be able to access a part of those funds, because the world needs us, Africa needs us, and I would like to wish you a fruitful discussion. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Merci. On va demander peut-être au dernier intervenant
I
de
would
cette
now
ronde
like
de finir
to
rapidement. Je pense que c'est le moment.
ask the last speaker
Est très, très serré.
to come forward, but I know that you have a very busy schedule. I can feel that people are passionate. All those people, all the team working on this project are very passionate, and hopefully we will achieve some milestones with your commitment. I would like to give the floor now to the director of the AGF, Mr. Julian Kam. You have the floor.
So good morning, everyone. I'm going to be also very short. So first of all, Excellency Nadia Feta Alaoui, Minister of Economy and Finance, Kingdom of Morocco, Dr. Sidi Outa, President of African Development Bank, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this chance to welcome all of you to this Afawa breakfast this morning, where we showcase the success of women entrepreneurs in Africa. So when we talk about women in Africa, and in line with this forum today, the African Investment Forum, there are two things that should come in our mind. The first thing is investment. We are at the AIF. And the second thing is women. We are here for the Afawa breakfast. So how can we combine women and investment? And that comes to the gender lens, investing. And for that, I've borrowed two key elements from President Sidi for Africa. And these two elements, the first one is, how do we turn demographic growth into economic power, and how do we unlock capital at scale in Africa? If you want to turn demography into economic power, I believe that the solution is women. When we look at what women have been doing in Africa, number one, their contribution in terms of economic activity. Women in Africa, they have the highest participation in economic activity in the world. The average in Africa is 65%, and the global average is 47%. So in Africa, women, they do participate. But the challenge is that their contribution to the GDP is very low. And why is this participation so high? Because, in Africa, we don't have such kind of notion of the housewife. Every woman in Africa, they have an activity. Even from their own house, they will be selling food, running a small restaurant, and also selling clothes. But the problem is that they are still in the informal sector, and more than 70% of women-owned or led businesses are informal. The second point is agriculture. When we talk about demography, one of the key elements is food security. As the population is growing, we need to feed that population. And today, women, they represent 2/3 of the labor in agriculture. But one of the challenges is that their productivity remains very low. So women, they are already there, as the Excellency was saying earlier. They are part of the economic activity, they are part of agriculture, but the solution is how do we empower them? And we do believe that capital is the key. So I want to speak about a huge opportunity, an opportunity where strong financial return meet strong impact, where we can invest not only in market, but also in people. And that opportunity is green bond. And I'm very glad that we are here today in Morocco, because Morocco was the first African country to issue a green bond. And that was done by BCP, Banque Centrale Populaire, in 2021. They raised $20 million. And then that was followed by East Africa. We have NMB, they issued the very first green bond in sub-Saharan Africa for a total amount of 32 million. And then last year, we had Ecobank. Ecobank was the Afawa Bank of the Year. They issued also the very first green bond in Africa for an amount of 16 million. And all those green bonds were oversubscribed. So today, if we need to call for action, is investing more and more into green bonds. We are all here talking on behalf of our institution, but what can we do at an individual level? So I want to take a commitment for myself and for all of us that when we come here next year, we need to show how much investment we have put at an individual level into green bonds. So we will check and ask you how much investment, because in the room, I'm sure we all have savings. Please invest into into gender bond, put your savings into that, and we believe it's a very good asset class. So let's meet here in 1 year and check how much investment you have into gender bond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monsieur Joe. Je pense que nous sommes en train de vivre un moment de bascule.
Thank you very much. I think we are at a turning point on this topic. I would like to commend all the different speakers, and I know that you have a very busy schedule, but nonetheless, you have stayed in this room to follow up our discussion. So now, please let us kindly give them a round of applause, because they have enabled us to give better visibility to this topic by showing up today. Thank you very much. Please stay in the room and we will continue with our session. And I will also now like to give the floor to one of our key note speaker, and she has been working in Mauritania, and she has been able to raise capital to expand her industry, and she will give us an overview of that journey. And hope we have an audience that is tuned in. And I would like to give the floor now to Mariam Zain from Mauritania.
Alors, Mariam, vous êtes dans un domaine.
Mariam, you work in a field that is dominated by men. Namely, you are in cement and concrete production, and you are now assuming the leadership of your family business. and you have been able to raise 1.5 million to modernize your company. So what's led you to take such a decision? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me the floor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I have assumed the leadership of the cement production factory Massy in 2021 after the buyout from a company. And the first decision that we have to take is to modernize it to make sure that we shift the initial vision of the company. So this first investment was established at 1.5 million. This is quite acceptable for a cement factory. And we have faced a lot of obstacles, which are most of the time mainstream obstacle that we encounter in developing countries. So one of the main challenges that we have faced was our ability to convince people to invest because we have a factory that is yielding result. And when you want to invest your money, you need to have a strong rationale. And we had to convince people that they have to invest in order to modernize and to carry out our vision. And we were faced with some key obstacle. We are sorry we can no longer hear the speaker.
Quel est le délai que vous voudriez
What is
recommander
the
à nos
time frame? What is the time frame that we can have or that we can suggest to institution when, as an entrepreneur, most of the time you can identify an opportunity and you need to act very fast. The interpreter apologized, but we can no longer hear the speaker.
Interpreters are not receiving the sound. Interpreters are not receiving the sound. Thank you. The interpreters are not receiving any sound from the hall. Thank you.
avons des dossiers en attente,
Vous
d'autres
allez,
investissements
vous allez
à
certainement bien la
We
reconnaître.
have
La tenue
some
qu'elle porte est magnifique.
file.
Je suis
You will
persuadé
probably
qu'elle
acknowledge
viendra.
her.
Je suis sûr qu'elle
She
viendra.
Merci.
They will certainly reach out to you. Thank you very much. Please kindly give her a round of applause. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Alors, on va enchaîner avec
Now, allow me to
qui apporte la preuve aussi.
kindly give you, we will have to display an audiovisual element, and this is audiovisual element is a testament of the different initiatives and testimonies of the success obtained in Africa.
À la Côte d'Ivoire. Et j'ai récupéré cette passion. J'ai eu envie de continuer l'aventure qu'il avait commencé, passer d'une plantation de café à la tasse de café. Je fais la torréfaction qui consiste à transformer le café. Aujourd'hui, on est arrivé à un stade où la production de la plantation ne suffit pas pour l'unité de torréfaction que nous avons. Nous sommes obligés de racheter du café chez d'autres paysans, chez des coopératives. Mais quand on n'a pas suffisamment de finances, c'est plus difficile de financer rapidement la femme qu'un homme pour un même projet. On a entendu parler de Finel, qui est une institution financière et qui est un partenaire de la FAWA qui milite pour les femmes. Nous ont ouvert grandement la porte et on a eu un accompagnement. Un premier accompagnement qui a été positif pour vraiment ne jamais manquer de matières premières. On est déjà à un bon parcours de la plantation à la transformation. Nous sommes sur la bonne voie et nous pensons que nous avons trouvé le partenaire qu'il nous faut, qui comprend le cri de cœur des femmes. Il est temps qu'on passe à l'étape d'après, de redynamiser l'exploitation et l'industrialisation, torréfier davantage, vendre davantage, offrir davantage du travail aux femmes. Je suis fière aujourd'hui et engagée plus que jamais de faire le rêve de mon papa, faire la synergie entre la terre et l'industrialisation. Parce que les femmes, elles sont dynamiques. Quand elles veulent, elles donnent tout.
Deuxième.
Je suis Madame Françoise Kielende, femme entrepreneur, chef d'entreprise. Pour moi, c'est d'abord une vocation. Ma maman qui a payé nos études et moi, pour qui elle s'est sacrifiée, je devais faire plus. Et c'est pour cette raison que j'ai décidé de créer Est Habitat. Et c'est un long parcours. Est Habitat n'avait pas d'historique, Est Habitat n'avait pas de référence, donc je ne pouvais pas avoir l'accès au financement. Être femme, déjà, ça pose problème. Je dois travailler plus que les hommes pour prouver de quoi nous sommes capables. La Banque a mis en place le programme Ladies First. Et j'ai eu accès à des formations. Après les formations, j'ai eu accès aux facilités financières. Nous offrons les services de housekeeping. Nous faisons des car wash. Nous faisons aussi les transports du personnel. En dehors de tous ces services, nous offrons aussi un service médical. Au départ, j'avais 4 personnes et aujourd'hui, j'ai plus de 1500 agents.
This is wonderful, isn't it? We have incredible testimonies from these women. Every country in Africa wants to create jobs for its population. And based on these different success stories, and there are maybe we want to create one such audiovisual element to inspire more people. We are sorry, but we have some issue with the sound. So in North Africa, we mentioned the importance to adapt to the ecosystem. The financial ecosystem in North Africa is well developed and very secured, and we have also all the mechanisms that are set up. Despite the availability of cash, there is a sense of a risk that the financial institution perceive with the different women-led companies. So in order to overcome this issue, because we are not trying to have a social entrepreneurship, but we want to promote profitability and bankability. So what should we do to achieve this object? How can we make sure that the women-led projects are more bankable and make sure that we are on the right track? We should therefore establish a committee in charge of assessing the bankability as well as the risk inherent to those ventures. So in this first panel, we are trying to identify the avenues to overcome this perceived risk that we have with women-led enterprises. So every committee that will meet or will gather would make sure that this objective is a strategic objectives. So in order to ponder over this topic, I would like to call here 5 key speakers, and I will ask them, they are also the entrepreneurs. We have the president or the chairperson of AFEM, who represents the women the entrepreneurs in Morocco, those who are asking for capital. We have Lele Dukali. She is the chairperson of that association. Our second speaker, the second panelist in this roundtable is Mariam Zain. She is also an entrepreneur, and we have Alma Saoki, the Associate Director of Mazar, and he makes sure that the company is transparent and investment ready. And you have also your assigned seats. And we also need a banker and the one who provides the resources. We have Seyman Malek, who will provide the capital. And we should also talk about the regulation aspect, the one in charge of ensuring compliance and the social the safety net. We have Mr. Jobroni. We are not going to record this because this is a risk committee, a credit committee, and we are going to ponder over these different aspects. So we will start with the client. We have Lele Dukali, and she's the chairperson of AFM, and she has a company in the retail and in the retail industry, and she's very straightforward, and she told me that we need now to carry out some concrete initiatives. We need some result, and she's also advocating for access to public markets by those women. We have many women in Morocco, in Mauritania, in all the countries in North Africa, but also in Sub-Saharan Africa. And whenever our keynote speaker, and whenever those ladies reach out to a financial institution, sometimes they are faced with some obstacles, and they are faced with some denials of credit. And Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much thank you for extending this invitation to me. I'm very delighted to share with you our expertise in this matter. Yes, Mustafa, you have mentioned it very clearly, and we need to scale up our initiatives. And the AFEM has been created 25 years ago, and our purpose is to promote women entrepreneurship and creation of ventures by women. And we have also encouraged them to scale up and to grow their businesses. And during your intervention, Mustafa, you highlighted it and you said it very clearly. The bank, access to funding, we have issues with guarantees and collaterals because most of the time a woman does not have enough capital, or even when she has capital, she has to, it's sometimes mingled with the family capital. And on top of that, we have some barriers to access the banking system. And this is the reality, the stark reality that many women are faced with in Morocco. And when it comes to we have a very low rate of women with activities or enterprises created by women. And we have the highest rate of women engineers in worldwide. And as the minister said it, we have approximately a decrease of 90% of women activities, and less than 10% of SMEs are created by women. And we know that there are some psychological barriers. So she is a women entrepreneur, a leader, and she has been working. She works from morning to the evening, and whenever she starts to start a venture, she will reach out to a company. And we must admit that in Morocco we have a very low banking rates for women. And whenever a woman decides to reach out to a bank, she will not go to a business center, but she will try rather to reach out to a bank that is within her neighborhood and where she has a bank account. And whenever, sometimes she's quite hesitant and she's not very assertive, and the bank will not be able to provide her with the different steps to carry out and ask her and give her the necessary information related to the drafting of her business plan. This is one of the second major obstacle that we are faced with. Most of the time she doesn't have the appropriate training. She doesn't know how to draft a business plan. She doesn't know all the different steps and the different components of that business plan. And even sometimes she hesitates because she doesn't have the collateral to submit, and she doesn't have the resources or even the means to even have savings. And for those who can afford to have some savings, they are quite scarce. And there are some criteria and that they need to meet within the banking system. So that woman has to understand the criteria, the of the banks, and she must be able to be conversant with the banking ecosystem. So Leila is just telling us that on top of the mechanism and the different system that we need to implement, we need also to have a direct approach. How do we incubate the product that she's carrying, and even the interface that she has with the different branches of the bank? And most of the time, they don't have the opportunity to get into the system, and sometimes even the file is not very accurate, and we need to improve this relationship.
We do at the level of AFEM with partner banks. One of them is present here with us. You can name that bank. Belit Bank. Madam Nesrin is here with us. She's doing an extraordinary job. The thing is, that entrepreneur will have to ask ourselves if she will be able to shoulder these two responsibilities at home and at her business. So when going toward a bank, they start with our association and we work with them. We'll come back on the projects we are supporting. So we help that woman draft a business plan. And the bank should take into account the fact that that woman is not just a file. It takes a lot of emotions for that woman to try to start a business. So guarantee funds are about statistics, are about figures. So you need to motivate more women to get involved in that. Thank you for your testimony and your experiences for a small and medium-sized enterprise. Do you have the feeling that the review of your file or application takes into account the fact that you are a woman? Once more, good morning, and thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to listen to those testimonies. For companies that have a capital of about €1 million, the story is different. You just look at the business plan and the output or outcome of the output of the business. But for a company or business like the one I lead, which is a small and medium-sized enterprise, I understood early in 2010, when I was younger, when banks see that you're a young person trying to start a business, they don't trust you easily. So this is our reality. This is our society, the reality of our ecosystem. And unfortunately, you have to resort to quotas. And you have to turn to those who believe, who understand that we have the skills to lead businesses while taking care of our families. So when you are supporting a woman-led business, you're giving the opportunity to that woman, to the girls, to understand the opportunity to understand that they can achieve those goals because their grandmother was able to do so. So there are a lot of paradigms that needs to be taken into account, and we are in 2025, remote jobs, and there are changes in the governance structures of enterprises that allows for this flexibility. And we have to understand that banks are not investors. Banks provide loans, and there are rules governing these loans. It's true there are investors and other sources of financing. So we have a banker with us who can tell us how we can design solutions or an upward approach that will de-risk the business for women. Emen Malek, you are a bank manager in Mauritania. You worked a lot in the area of international partnerships within the bank. You're going to share your experience with us because you worked with those customers, those who were asking for credit. Tell us what solutions, what instruments are available, and what is your position when you receive those applications? Thank you. Thank you for your question. Allow me, first of all, to tell you that bankers do not lack the willingness to provide fundings to women. We actually believe in women's potential, and we would like to help them develop their projects, because this will also go in a long way, will go a long way in developing our economies in general. Within our bank, we worked a lot on guarantees because it is an important lever for loans, especially when they are dedicated to women. We have a serious issue with financial information, because before you start a business, or providing that funding, we have to review the file or the request for a loan. And this will allow us to understand, to know the sustainability of the project, the future cash flow that will be generated by this project. Will it be profitable to the bank or not? And this comes from the financial information provided by the woman business leader. And if we do not have this financial information, it's an obstacle for the bank. So it all starts with the financial information. These women should bring transparent and reliable financial information, because this is the basis of project reviews. Whereas in all projects, whether in Morocco or other countries, the Moroccan diaspora come to Morocco to take part in festivals or other events. Do you have a one-stop shop for these people? Because this is promoting investment, and this needs to be fast-tracked. So you need to reduce delays. In our bank, we are a corporate bank. So we exclusively work with businesses. We don't work with individuals. So we have a segment of our bank which is open to providing funding to women. We collaborate with the AFDB and other partners. So we have a department dedicated to financing women-led MSMEs. And this brings a lot of advantages, because the deadline is shorter, and we understand the specificity of the risks related to those businesses. So in a bank, we have this department. So within the banking system, I think there are efforts that need to be made so that we achieve the goals that have been set in terms of fast-tracking project reviews or application reviews. So now we are going to give the floor to the auditor. Omar Shawki, who is the Associate Director of Forensic Mazar in Egypt. So you are the auditor. You give us the perspective of an auditor. For a bank to provide a loan, it needs to receive a well-prepared file with reliable financial data information. Usually we say the banks did not review the file, and we understand the position of banks, because if everything, all the requirements are not met, you cannot review those requests for a loan. So what is the major gap you usually identify when you're reviewing the banking files of businesses?
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know you wanted to speak in
yeah,
English.
I'm going to speak in English if you don't mind. It's a pleasure to be here. I think it's great to see also the turnout early in this morning because it's an important subject, and I appreciate the participation of the minister, the head of the African Development Bank, and also the African Guarantee Fund. You know, I think if we look at an auditor's perspective, so we audit on both sides, right? So you have auditing the bank itself, and you have auditing the businesses or auditing financial statements for businesses that apply for loans. I'll try to talk a bit about both to give the perspective, right? So I think what we see with SMEs, at least, you know, I'll speak on behalf of Egypt, but I know my colleagues here in Morocco, actually, we have a very big practice. I'd say the same thing. Many of the, and this has been mentioned, two things. Many of the financial statements lack coherence, and that's not due to necessarily the incompetence of women or SMEs, but just that they don't have the information. And I'd say secondly, is that when you look at businesses run by women, a lot of them actually are not registered when they start their businesses, right? So they might start their businesses 5 years ago, but actually registered a business that might be officially registered 1 year ago, right? And I think that when you go to a bank and they ask for, you know, official documents or financial documents, you only have the history that you've accounted for officially over a year. And I think that's always a challenge. So I think there's lots to be done on the non-financial side of things in educating, doing efforts. And we actually, as Forvis Marzar in Egypt, we are now working with the Ministry of Investment and an opportunity investment there to do roadshows in areas to help SMEs, not just women, but SMEs themselves. And then if I look on the audit side of a bank is highly regulated by the regulators, at least in North Africa. You know, we have very strong regulators. And I think that's always in the back of the mind of the risk team is how can we mitigate our risk? And so, you know, going back to all the requests and all the requirements that are there, risk team will probably take on opportunities what they fear a lot more secure and will not put the bank into a place where at risk with the regulator. So I think there needs to be flexibility also from the regulator, also an education within the bank to actually take on these projects and take on initiatives like those provided by FAWA and the African Guarantee Fund.
Don't you think, you have talked about roadshows, that there is a possibility to develop roadshows with associations such as AFEM in order to initiate and to a lot of implication and to incubate and mentor many women who would like to be entrepreneur and to help them to be in link with the rules inside the banks?
Definitely, and I commend Laila when she's talking about what they're doing, and there's a lot of effort being put in there. I'd say there's a program in Egypt called Nilepreneurs. So it's between the Central Bank of Egypt and Nile University. And that really is an effort to try and actually go and do the non-financial aspects to give, you know, we talked about confidence. A lot of it, and I've heard this is, you know, from people that we talk to in the market, there's this confidence for women to walk into a bank and know what they want to ask for. And I think that roadshows and you know, Miriam also touched upon these things, is being able to have that confidence to talk to a bank and ask what is needed. And in a way, there's an unconscious bias that's there in cultural norms in North Africa. And I think we need to work on that too. You know, it's not just a roadshow, but it's actually how can we work on the unconscious bias that's there when people are a risk team or credit teams are sitting in banks and making those decisions. And we've seen different solutions that we can talk about later as well.
As we would like to be concrete, the Minister of Economy and Finance in Morocco said only 19% of women are involved in the economy. Is there any possibility to fix another objective, like let's say 30% within the next 2 or 3 years, and then to move forward with the rest of policies and actions? Did you engage this kind of actions in Egypt?
I mean, I think it's been mentioned several times. Women are actually a huge driving force in the economy. I think they're just not seen as, you know, they're seen as social programs. And I think we need to move away from this idea that women are social programs. They're actually proper business entrepreneurs and that can take on and our investments, as we're talking about the investment fund. I mean, that I think is very important. If I look at Egypt, women themselves have very stable jobs, and they are a lot in different socioeconomic levels within society. They have stable jobs and they generate the bread. They are the breadwinners of the family in addition to all the other responsibilities they have. So they are there. It's about actually acknowledging that and putting that not from a social program, but more from a structured system and in a way de-risking banks' efforts.
Thank you for your insight, Omar. Let's move now to the institution, the Moroccan institution. Alors, si Saïd Jbrani, vous avez
Saïd Jbrani, you have been recently appointed General Manager of Temwilcom, which is a guarantee fund, helping to ensure risk security in the like of AFAWA. When you have the will to move ahead, you can do that. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, it is the fund that provided security to banks so that they provide loans to businesses. And all businesses, enterprises had access to funds depending on their capacity and their operations. So when there is a real political will, there are measures that are taken. You understand very well the banking system. You led a lot of banks. You also worked in the national guarantee fund. So Temwilcom has solutions that can be made available, and you have the willingness to go further. Are the existing solutions enough, or should we bring together many more guarantees that are more inciting for the businesses? And thank you for your question. Before coming back to the question related to Temwilcom, as you rightly highlighted, I was a banker in the past. And I would like to add to what my co-panelists said about the gender risk. Usually, it's difficult to have gender-related data in order to understand if the risks for women-led businesses are higher than those for men-led businesses. And I would say that the risk is lesser for women-led businesses than for the average of businesses. And I've discussed with a lot of microfinance institutions, and we understand that women businesses depend a lot on microfinance institutions. So Temwilcom, as you said earlier, we worked a lot during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the institution was established in 1949, and our name is National Guarantee Fund. Our job is to support MSMEs in Morocco in general to ensure access to funding. So access to funding in Morocco is a general problem. It's not only dedicated to women or an issue only felt by women. So an entrepreneur has less opportunity to get funding. So what we do, we have about 15% of informal businesses in Morocco led by women. Only 15% of women-led enterprises have access to funding from banks. So there is a real gap we need to strive to close. Since 2013, we've been working on that. We understand that we need to provide those financial solutions. Since 2013, we have specific guarantee products for the financial sector. And it's not only the banks, but also microfinance institutions. For 12 years now, we've been providing guarantees to 43,000 women business leaders from the banking and the microfinance institution sectors. How do we operate? Our guarantee products sometimes cover 60% of the credit. And if it is led by a woman, we increase the rate, and sometimes we get up to 70%. So the bank is more open to providing credit to women-led businesses. So for 12 years now, as I said, we have these guarantee instruments, but now we have to go further. And this is the role which is played by AFEM, how to increase credit demand. For about 3 years now, under the aegis of the Ministry of Economy and Finance of Morocco, and as rightly highlighted by the minister earlier, we went beyond guarantees. We've started offering direct co-financing products. So when you have a woman entrepreneur, she can have a credit from Telwilcom, but also a credit from the bank with more advantageous terms. And it is cheaper, 2 to 3 times cheaper than a bank credit. This is a new product we've launched, and we cooperate a lot with AFEM on that. We've not yet found the right approach to increase buying, but we're trying, redoubling our efforts. Let's not forget that there is also a gap on information and training gap. So if we want to be successful, we have to take all of this on board. All the levers need to be pulled for us to achieve our goal. We had a lot of testimonies today. So women should be open to going towards the bank. And I'd like to give the floor to Ayman, who is a banker. The setting up of a guarantee fund, just like in Morocco with Temwilcom or solutions brought by AFAWA, which aimed at reducing risks. Does it help you in your risk management efforts? And are you more ready to support women-led businesses? Absolutely. Usually, once we review the file, a request for funding, there are residual risks. And these are usually related to some pessimistic assumptions, and the banker wants to have guarantees that cover those residual risks. And that's where those guarantee funds intervene. They come and cover those risks. And when there is a guarantee fund, the banker will provide the loan for which it was reluctant because of the risks related to it and because of the lack of guarantee. So give the floor to the business leader. Leila, Here's my question. Is there any specific model of business led by women? Is there a real motivation?
Au niveau des agences, parce que forcément, l'agence n'est pas le siège. Le siège, on a des penseurs et des directeurs de comité. En agence, on a des opérationnels, parfois avec des directeurs qui n'ont pas le temps, n'accordent pas l'écoute. Est-ce qu'il y a une spécificité que vous
bank branches, usually, we have people who do not share the same motivation as those at headquarters. So how can we encourage more women? I mean, first of all, women need to go towards the banks. And those who go through AFEM, they have a better mastery of the process. I agree with my co-panelists who say that there is no difference when it comes to the quality of the file or the request submitted by a man or a woman when it is well prepared. So, and as Serge Brandi said earlier, banks are more open to working with women. AFEM worked with CCG in the past as part of a program. Now we're launching Ileki Invest. This was done 1.5 years ago as part of the celebration of the International Women's Day. So Tem will come, also becomes a financier with preferential terms.
Mais ce taux-là qui est pris en charge par Tem Willcom, il est quand même que de 2%. Le complément va être pris en charge
Tem Willcom covers 2% of the global loans that will be provided as part of the initiative. With AFEM, we also have other programs for micro enterprises, those who would like to go at scale, so that they have more funding. So when we talk to those banks, and we ask them, do you know Ileki Invest? There is a fair knowledge. There is a fair knowledge about the project. And usually, this kind of program is not publicized or marketed a lot. So personally, as a business leader, with my friends from Valid Bank, we use Intelaka, which has a lower rate. But then the local banks need to be involved, because we had a well-prepared program or project in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance.
It means that the guarantee at the level of telecom has reached 90%. After FEM, 2015, after negotiation, we went to 80%. This was just Ileki. And after 1.5 years, we launched a new version, and it's not taking off. It means that you have to involve more women. The banks have to play their role, the intermediation between the guarantee fund. When we talk to a director, they say, I don't know Ileki Invest, but Ileki exists. They are there. They have been trained. The civil society also have to talk about it and present the reality. This program is wonderful. We have to support it. Omar.
Based on what have been said by Leila, we need more women involved in the entrepreneurship activities, mainly those who are in the informal sector. Tell us more about experiences in Egypt to get more ladies being entrepreneurs and being financed by using these kind of tools?
Definitely. Well, I mean, like I said previously, I think women are an engine in any African economy. I'd say especially Egypt. So I think definitely bringing them into the formal space will help push, as was mentioned earlier, by GDP, etc. I think there's a social stigma. So I think the programs, the roadshows we talked about, so we work with Bank Misr, with auditors of Bank Misr in Egypt, which is the second largest bank. They have a program called ZAT, which is dedicated to women, and it's pushed by also, supported by the regulator, right? So they're trying to limit requirements per se that are needed for women finance business or women-owned businesses, and I think these are up to I think it's £6 million Egyptian pounds, which is a significant amount of number for young or entrepreneurs and women that want to get into the business. I think taking these initiatives, I think when someone like the African Guarantee Fund comes and is willing to de-risk a significant amount of a loan, that helps, But I think that needs to be done not only through the banks, but I would say through the regulators. I think the regulators need to play a bigger part in actually pushing this. And I know in Egypt there's a requirement from the Central Bank of Egypt to put financial inclusion metrics that the banks need to report on. So there's a requirement, and I believe the SME portfolio is around 25%, but that's also very challenging for a lot of banks in Egypt to adhere to, because of the amount of effort required to bring in the SMEs. But I would even look, and I'd say there's a lot to learn also from the microfinance institutions. They're doing a very good job in financing the women-led businesses. Obviously, in Egypt, I'm not aware of other countries, but in Egypt, they're not managed by the Central Bank of Egypt, but the Financial Regulatory Authority. So they are able to take, I believe, more risk. They have a lot of data around behavioral scoring, as opposed to just collateral and all the requirements that a traditional bank might look at. So I think learning and looking at behaviors, what data microfinance, consumer finance organizations have around women will help create a system and a risk system maybe that's more around behavioral scoring, as opposed to the traditional financial statements and a business plan.
Thank you. We'll ask a Moroccan bank who is based in Egypt, who is a Tijari Wafa bank, a big bank. Correct. There. Yes. We'll ask them to get back to us with some of the experience. So for the conclusion, I would like to ask each one of you to let me know, what is your main recommendation today after hearing all what has been said this morning?
I think if I'd say a general statement is that women or our approach, or the mentality that we should take towards women-led business, is not about charity or social programs. It's about smart economics. I think that's where that's the mindset that needs to shift. And I'd say looking at different risk management frameworks within banks and utilizing the de-risking frameworks that guarantors can offer, like the African Guarantee Fund, looking at behavioral scoring, like I just mentioned, and the educational side beyond the finance. I think those are three critical elements that I think will help drive our economy forward and the African economy forward.
Thank you for this insight, Mr. Omar Shawki, involved in Forbis Mazars. La prochaine intervention, et je vais demander la même chose à Monsieur Ayman.
I'm going to ask Mr. Ayman Malik, the Deputy Director General of the Bank of Mauritania, to give us his main recommendation, the main takeaway to preach the good word over the subject that has been discussed about Mauritania today. I think we have three pillars over which we have to act. The first one is related to the quality of financial information. Our women need support to better present the financial information. They study the market study because the bank need a reliable information to double check the reliability of the project, the cash flow, etc. This is a very important pillar. The second one is the guarantee, the implementation of the guarantees. Every type of mechanism that will allow to share the risk and reduce at a maximum level the net exposure to the bank over this kind of project. Unfortunately, in Mauritania, we don't have a TEM Welcome, but we have just created a guarantee fund, which, based on information that I received this morning, is currently negotiating with the TEM Welcome to share share knowledge. This is why we put them next to Telecom. But as per our bank, we have been able to implement some partnership with AFAWA and also with other guarantee fund in the sub-region. And it is working well. So far, it has been working well. The third pillar is the technical assistance, the post-technical assistance after funding in the sector of finance, marketing, and governance, because we have to support our women to help them better manage their project and give them a maximum chance of success for this kind of project. If we work over the three pillars, I think we will be able to significantly develop a funding for the SMEs managed by women. This is part of the global synthesis that will be provided. Sister Braini, Director General of Telecom, what is your point of view as an organ of guarantee? Because you have over 70 years of experience. Thank you. For TEM Welcome, you have understood that for us, women entrepreneurship is very important, and we have already implemented some concrete actions at this level. We are going to continue. We are willing to continue and support. We are working with the different stakeholders. I will say that, and talking about AFAWA this morning, with the African Guarantee Fund, we have had some fruitful discussion, and I hope we will be able to reach our purpose very soon. We are also going to support the self-funding for the women entrepreneurship, which will support the different business plan and the different actors. I will say two things. As Mrs. Tokali rightly said, we have a good product today in terms of funding. We have to make some adjustment to make it better. Secondly, I feel like there is a good job which is being provided in terms of information gap and support. If we are not going to succeed if we do not support some people to explain them things. This is not an exclusively female subject. It is a global subject. As long as it's about TP and entrepreneurship, we have to make a double effort on this subject, and we have to increase. To my sense, we have to put more emphasis, and behind we are going to be able to capture them in our financial system. I do confirm that TEM Welcome has a scoring system which is quite precise. Maybe a suggestion or proposal to add on what you said. Generally, we go to the bank, and the bank then get in touch with TEM Welcome to synchronize and get an agreement for the bank. If you do as many companies in the financial system, they put in place a scoring system which is directly addressed to TEM Welcome. So we have information that TEM Welcome has given an agreement so that we don't go back to the bank and then we are involved in a cumbersome system. So this is an idea to be taken into account. So we are going to go and find this $10 million after the meeting. We are going to continue with the pitching. Your conclusion and recommendation, what are you going to do tomorrow when you go back to Nouakchott? I will say that the organization of this panel has been very well managed because we have the different actors here. And if we try to replicate this model in our ecosystem, meaning we have to put in place some system to work together involving the bank, the government institution, associations, acting in this direction, we'll have some very good results. On our end, I think today, with all the people in this room, we will easily reach the $2 million, the $10 million, even more. Leila, on behalf of the companies from the Maghreb or Morocco, Egyptian or African generally, the bank has to play the role of proximity agencies. Secondly, we have to support the bank to play the role of Leki investor. As I said earlier, this the third item, I was thinking about it while coming. We have to think of support of the fund Mohamed VI and support the women with the initial investment, because there is 80% of guarantee participation. Either the women don't have the necessary means, maybe the Mohamed VI fund will help us in this direction. To sum up, we have been following a process with this committee, which has decided to invest in the project. First of all, we have the risk. We have reduced the risk, and we have put some place operational tools. Third, through testimonies and the images that we have seen, there is a proof that there is a storytelling to be established. And if I have to say, I will say we have to communicate, we have to share experience so that we can get some attractiveness. Thank you, Mrs. Grani, DG Director General Temwicom. We are going to take a picture to keep it as a testimony for your presence in the committee risk. The Altani, you can stand up. The photograph is here. Ayman Malik, Deputy Director General of the General Bank of Mauritania, Madam Zaina, Director General of Maxine in Mauritania, who goes back with 10 million, and Associate Director Ouma Shaki from Egypt. The women in the middle. This is a courtesy and a way of supporting you and framing you between the guarantee fund and the banks. The funds are available and you will receive them right after this meeting this morning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was a pleasure for us to have you. You can go on the right or the left side. You are at home. The major point of the AFAWA program, I have the pleasure to receive the director of the African Guarantee Fund.
The AFAWA Guarantee for Growth program and what we can expect next. Please join me to welcome Nijdeep Sethi, Group Director, Structured Finance and Products, African Guarantee Fund. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, financial institutions, donors, and also friends. So I won't take up too much time, but it is a privilege to be here in Morocco, a country that sits at the crossroads of innovation, entrepreneurship, and financial sector leadership within North Africa. The conversations that we're having today are incredibly important because they address one of the continent's most persistent and costly problem, which is the lack of access to finance for women entrepreneurs. To reiterate what has been said here today, this morning, the population of the continent self-employed is 60%, which is women. And the gap that they face in financing is close to $49 billion. And these are due to many issues that have been discussed extensively by our speakers this morning: lack of collateral, lack of credit, formal credit histories, and limited engagement between the financial institution and the women entrepreneurs, and also misconceptions of risk. So we're here today really to talk about the AFAWA Guarantee for Growth The program was created really to transform the way financial institutions approach women entrepreneurs and really to reduce the real and perceived risks while simultaneously strengthening capacity on both sides of the market. Just a quick overview of what the Guarantee for Growth has been able to achieve across the continent to date, which is issuing guarantees of approximately $500 million, which has led to unlocking approximately $1 billion in loans for 13,000 women across 39 countries across Africa. And this has led to creating over 80,000 jobs. And all we can say is that this is actually demonstrating the power of the guarantees and the power of the program that has also led to these women, these 13,000 women, generating incremental revenue of over $600 million. So the Guarantee for Growth is a program that we've seen that actually works, and coupled with the technical assistance that is provided both for the SMEs and also for the financial institution, it becomes a proven model. The technical assistance is also a major part of the program that supports the guarantee and the changing behavior that we want to see under this program. For the financial institutions, it's for supporting them with product design, with staff training, and data systems, processes, all the improvement that we can see that helps them to address the needs of the women entrepreneurs. And for the side of the women entrepreneurs, we provide financial literacy, coaching, access to markets, digitizations, preparation for loans, and getting them really credit ready, leading to an integrated model that ensures financing is not only accessible, but it's productive, it's sustainable, and it's transformative. And the results speak for themselves: the higher portfolio quality, stronger repayment behavior, and more resilient businesses. So let me speak directly to the context in which we are here today. Morocco and the wider North Africa region offer an enormous opportunity. The financial sector here is strong, innovative, and sophisticated. And the SME ecosystem is also very dynamic. Women entrepreneurs across agriculture, services, manufacturing, and digital sectors are ready to grow. Yet the women face constraints, as we've heard from the speakers this morning and we're aware of. So our goal is very straightforward. It is to replicate in Morocco and North Africa the success of the AFAWA G4G program that is achieved across the continent. We're already building a pipeline of financial institutions, most of you who are here today, engaging with not only the banks, but also with the microfinance institution to demonstrate the risk reduction of the power of guarantees, preparing to roll out strong capacity development programs and product innovations that are tailored to meet the local context, and really strengthening our relationships with national stakeholders, with development financial institutions active within the region. Morocco is not only a market opportunity for us, it is a market of leadership. The momentum is here, the institutions are ready, and the demand from the women entrepreneurs is unmistakable. So just to quickly wrap up with that note, I think it's important for us to appreciate everyone in the room coming in together to demonstrate your commitment and your belief in the power of women's entrepreneurship, because I think we all know that when we finance African women, we're financing the future of Africa. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Nichit Sethi, Group Director, Structured Finance and Products, for these concrete highlights of the AFAWA Guarantee for Growth. So as we approach the top of the hour, we look to our partners who help these initiatives. And for our donors' perspective, please welcome Ms. Katja Cherner, Portfolio of KfW. Welcome.
Good morning, Excellencies. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of KfW, the German Development Bank, I would like to thank the organizers of this important event, as well as for the opportunity today to contribute a donor's perspective. The AFAWA initiative, set up under the leadership of the African Development Bank, is the largest support program for women entrepreneurs across the African continent. And it recognizes that entrepreneurship is a crucial path not only for empowering women economically, but also for driving inclusive and sustainable economic growth throughout Africa. So we've heard that women entrepreneurs represent about 60% of all SMEs in Africa, and that yet, despite their significant contribution to economic vitality, women-led businesses continue to face persistent challenges, especially in accessing affordable and tailored financial solutions. So the AFAWA initiative presented today, as well as the AFAWA Guarantee for Growth program, address these barriers by bridging financing gaps and strengthening entrepreneur capacities among women. So we from KfW, we are active in supporting such initiatives in various countries throughout the continent. And we are proud to, I think it was mentioned, also the Green Invest program in Morocco together with Tambelcom. And we are very proud also to be a commitment partner to this initiative. KfW is one of the main donors of this initiative through capital investments in the AGF, with trust funds from the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. And from a donor's perspective, such initiatives are vital. They promote economic inclusion, stimulate entrepreneurship, and advance gender equality, all of which are essential for achieving sustainable development impact and building resilient economic ecosystems. Looking ahead, the prospects of expanding the AFAWA Guarantee for Growth program to the North Africa region seems immensely promising. As we have heard, the SME ecosystem in this region is vibrant, women entrepreneurs are highly active, and the financial sector is sophisticated and well-positioned to scale gender-inclusive finance. So last but not least, I would like to emphasize that KfW is honored to support the AFAWA and is also actively working on deepen its commitment. So we aim to further strengthen this partnership through additional trust funds from the German government to be invested in the AGF, thereby further enhancing AGF's catalytic role and expanding access to finance for women entrepreneurs. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for providing the essential donor's perspective and highlighting the depth of KfW's commitment. Your insight, along with the program highlights shared by Ms. Sethi, clearly demonstrate a sustainable partnership are key to achieving the 3 billion goal of the AFAWA Guarantee for Growth program. So we deeply appreciate. Les mots de clôture. Je vais passer au français parce que le Canada est avec nous.
The closing remark, I'm going to switch to French because we have Canada with us. I'm going to give the floor to Mrs. Isabelle Vawa, the ambassador of Canada to Morocco. Good morning, everyone. Salam alaikum. As a Canadian, I'm going to speak in the two languages of Canada.
Dear guests, it's truly a pleasure to be with you this morning as we wrap up the conversation that touches something very close to our hearts, the economic empowerment of women across Africa. I'm convinced that this working breakfast has helped us push the discussion forward, and more importantly, that it has inspired financial leaders present in the room to recognize just how crucial it is to open up real financing opportunities for women entrepreneurs in Morocco and throughout Africa. Canada is proud to stand behind AFAWA initiative together with the African Development Bank and the African Guarantee Fund. For us, this is not simply about funding. It's about a clear and deliberate commitment to building more inclusive economies. We know that when women are fully included, everyone wins. Businesses grows, community thrives, and progress gains real momentum. At this moment, this morning discussion, made it even clearer. Supporting AFAWA is much more than an investment. It's about removing one of the biggest barriers women entrepreneurs continue to face, access to finance. Women-led businesses are still labeled as risky far too often, yet they are the ones fueling growth, sparkling innovation, and building resilience across communities. Mesdames et messieurs, la réussite de AFAWA nous rappelle...
Ladies and gentlemen, the success of AFAWA give us a clear truth. When we give access to credit and the tool to have access, ideas comes to life and becomes a lever of transformation. The testimonies and discussion of this morning is a clear AFAWA is changing everything. By changing the risk, the program is strengthening the credibility of women entrepreneurs and give them the means to affirm themselves in environments where they have challenges. We have seen this morning as well. Investing in women entrepreneurship goes beyond the business opportunity. It is a bold initiative which transforms the entire community and spur growth. Every investment gets Africa closer to inclusion. I invite banks and investors and all our partners to unite our strength to build an ecosystem where every women entrepreneur in Africa can transform their idea in a bankable project by funding which correspond not only to their need, but to the most bold ambition. I would like to thank you for your presence and your commitment. I would like to warmly thank our friend from the AFAWA team for having organized this event. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mrs. Ambassador. I'm going to have a takeaway. And
last speech with the Vice President of the Groupe de la Banque Africaine de Développement, Marie-Laure Akin-Alogbade.
We have Marie-Laure Akin-Alogbade, the Vice President of the African Development Bank.
Excellence, Madame l'ambassadrice du Canada auprès du Royaume du Maroc.
Excellence, Mrs. Ambassador of Canada to the Kingdom of Morocco, Director General of Tim Wilcom, Director General of the African Guarantee Fund, ladies and gentlemen, Director of Financial Institution, dear partners, and especially ladies entrepreneurs.
End of a morning session that was very productive and decisive. After hearing the inspiring words at the opening that set the strategic stage and our vision governing action, we dove into the matter in the operational reality of your respective sectors. And I believe that we've reached a benchmark. We are no longer waiting to be convinced. We are now trying to envisage the method. There's a method that exists. That's what Wilcom does, or the AGF. And I wholeheartedly call for the establishment of this partnership. I think they can be synergistic learning that we can create. And so now we need to move to evidence. And so this evidence has a face, it has a voice, it has an industrial ambition. And so I'll do a small pitch for you, Madame Mariam Zein. And I recall what Mariam Zein has said, the DG of MAPFI, that we attentively listen to. You symbolize this change that we are all wishing for, this paradigm shift. You had a cement factory in Mauritania, and it is a capital incentive sector that is predominantly male, and your experience recalls a truth. And a woman entrepreneur will not be limited to micro enterprises, even though micro enterprises are important to start with and to move up the scale. But you're a captain of industry. You build infrastructure. You manage complex value chains, and you create wealth at a great scale. And so when a bank finances Mariam Zain, it is not a charity operation. They're investing in a blue chip industrial sector company, and they invest in the structural transformation of our continent. And this is the strategic objective of our institution. This is where the rubber meets the road for the AFDB. And our 10-year strategy aims at prosperous, integrated, and peaceful Africa, and it cannot be created without a strong participation of women. And so we renew the commitment
à continuer à donner et vraiment de vous donner les moyens
Mr. Sidi Ould Tah, and we will give you the means to reach this ambition. And this is in line with the 4 strategic pillars of the President to create a sovereign Africa. By providing loans through the AGF, we are aiming at creating this first pillar to free up the potential of Africa. And we make sure that the liquidity that is available on the continent is used and leveraged for our own development and not to be invested elsewhere. Of course, we do it with partners, and at AFAWA, we have partners, Canada, France, Germany, and there's another partner that I'm forgetting, the Netherlands. And we truly want to support leaders like Mariam in heavy industries, and we want to work with women that are working with or managing micro enterprises. And this is how we are truly creating value. And we're straying away from the export of raw materials to manufacture locally to create jobs. And these are decent jobs, and they are sustainable jobs. And this also converges with our potential and with our demographic dividends, women and the youth, that are our main engines. So the entrepreneurs that are here present, women and members of the youth, you are truly this engine. Dear bankers, dear investors, this panel was very well selected. We were able to look at the whole value chain of investment in women. Perhaps there's one part missing, incubators, the training. And we were told that there was a deficit in training. But in the AFAWA process, there's also this aspect, building skills. And this is very important at the outset and also downstream when we're implementing investments. Ladies and gentlemen, the President said very clearly this morning that there is an investment vector. It's called AFAWA. And my closing message is that the market is there. The opportunities are before us. And you should not use the old lens for your client portfolio, but you should adopt the performance lens that was presented this morning. And I would like to salute Madame Leila Doukali for the excellent work that you do in accompanying these women And I believe that there are great opportunities that we can make to work closely with you and to work in other regions, other countries on the continent. North Africa has a unique opportunity to become a model for inclusion at the regional level. You're already a model, but more can be done. Funding gender is not a niche, but it should be a standard of banking excellency. I think that some proposals were made to apply quotas, and sometimes we need this push forward, but at some point we should do away with quotas and understand that it is the best solution to involve women. And so I would like to reiterate that the FDB will support all those who bet on women, who bet on the youth, and will help you de-risking this boldness. But you'll be the ones signing the checks of this growth. And so we'll end with the truth. Funding women entrepreneurs is not the province of gender issues. It should be mainstream into all of finance. And it is the keystone for our prosperity and for our development. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marie-Laure, Vice President of the FDB, that has unlocked a lot of opportunities and that is envisaging the future of women entrepreneurship in the continent. We have come to the close of a very rich debate, full of optimism and hope. We leave this hall very determined. We had not only a panel, it was not a rhetorical exercise, but we are witnessing a paradigm shift, and it's important to highlight it. The demonstration that was made is that when decision makers, governments, and communication actors work together on a common objective, funding is facilitated for women, but also for the economy in general, so that we can create growth and develop this sovereignty. And to conclude, perhaps women do not need to wait the authorization to succeed. They need partners and funds. And that's the paradigm shift. We know that the mechanisms function well. The projects are there. And this is very concrete. There's Mariam's project. Before you leave the room, you have to raise $10 million. 10 million. Please meet her. And I'm sure Leila will come with a group of entrepreneurs to raise funds. So the markets are there. We're all growing in African countries. And the Director General of Tamwilcom said that investments made for women have a profitability, are very profitable, more than the average. And I would like to wholeheartedly thank all the speakers that are here present, the institutionals, the donors that carry the African economies and that will help us develop this system. And what we wish for today is that we have a call to action to move towards a very concrete roadmap. When we move to something concrete, we need to have a roadmap, and we need to register what has been said, and it should be part and parcel of our advocacy, and we should be shared with all the interested parties. And we have two essential elements, because at the FDB it was stated very clearly by the president of the AFDB, and also the minister spoke unequivocally on this. There's a company that's already on the starting block to start. We need impact at scale, and that should be managed. And to end, I would also like to thank those who have inspired me in this preparation. I could not have been this committed if I wasn't supported by people who are very passionate by this project. as members of AFAWA. Some are in the room. Melissa, some are following us elsewhere. Melissa, we need to see you. Please applaud Melissa, thank you. And somewhere, either in Tunisia or in Nairobi, Oumni and Sonia, that I salute, and Bonnie also, that we would like to thank the ADB Morocco team that put us in touch. I was told to thank Morocco, and of course, I'm Moroccan, so it's normal. All I can say is that we're an African country committed to investments, and in a few weeks will be a land of football. But here there's a land for all of Africa. And by strolling in Rabat, you can guess what Morocco is becoming. And partnership within Africa allows us to imagine even more in a spirit of sovereignty. I cannot thank Morocco because I'm Moroccan, but I would like to thank the technical teams and also the interpreters that allowed us to communicate. And let's meet next year. And we should meet in plenary next year. This message should be at the plenary. If you agree, please applaud. Thank you. And we'll now move to the second workshop. Thank you very much, and see you soon.